John, let's just dig right in because I know we've seen each other in passing, but I haven't really heard your story as to how you found FFL, what you were doing before. I just kind of watched your journey and watched your growth since you got here. So let's start there. What brought you to FFL? And if you were somewhere else before, what brought you to the industry?
I am the living proof that anybody can have success and change their life here at FFL. And obviously everybody hears that every week. I'm just another one of those crazy stories. I'm 36, and ever since I, finished college, I went right into hotels and hospitality, working late nights, making, a couple grand a month, just barely getting by with the job. It was the summer of 19, so just about 2 years ago, I ran into a guy. I was at the gym, and we started talking, and it happened to be Brian Cohen, and he told me about what this opportunity entails, how I could get licensed, and I was like, well, crap, I've been looking for a day job anyway, so let me at least give it a shot. I have nothing to lose. They're going to teach me how to get my license. They're going to put me on some leads to call, and he made it sound so simple. And obviously my wife and I are thinking, the same skeptical stuff that people say, but I got licensed and the rest is history. And here we are, our team's blowing up, and it's just an amazing whirlwind of a year and a half that's gone by.
You've only been here a year and a half.
Full-time, October 2019. Coincidentally, I was working, literally working 20 leads a week part-time while I was working at the restaurant. Obviously not a believer yet. And then what happened is that I had a death in the family October of 19. And that's what got me into this full-time, because I found my connection with the clients. So all of a sudden a switch flipped, and I started loading up leads. All of a sudden I'm doing, 60, 80, 100 leads a week. And this is when like Facebook was really, really big,
Yeah.
So that's when I was doing a lot of Facebook final expense, and, obviously everything just from there.
So let's live there for a minute, because a lot of people are hesitant to, obviously, and rightfully so, to jump in 2 feet. So starting part-time to full-time isn't uncommon. 20 leads a week is, but I get it. So what are those first couple of months like, while you're working part-time, still working full-time in the hospitality industry? And then when the switch flipped, what do those first few months look like when you're full-time with FFL, both from a like mindset, lead flow, and schedule?
So for me at the time, it's obviously, people that aren't where we are and, understand the psychology that it's an unknown, it's a question mark. So they feel comfortable with the guarantee. We're at a point, and I think I can speak for almost everybody in this group right now, we know that the unknown has a guarantee as long as we go to work, right? But when you're new, there's a big unknown with a non-guarantee, and sticking to that guarantee of a salary or an hourly, that's what's comfortable to us. Where all that we know when we're new is we're spending money without, is it going to come back, right? So I said, okay, let me just have my comfort of going into the restaurant at 3:00 in the afternoon, getting home at whatever, 1 a.m, midnight. From 9 a.m. to 12 was dedicated to appointments every single day. So my schedule is hypothetically full time. I would get up at 7 in the morning on Monday, dial on the phones from 8 o'clock until about 11 or 12, and book up a handful of appointments, 1 or 2 or 3 on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and then rinse, wash, repeat on Thursday for Friday and Saturday. It's just that I was doing like this amount of activity instead of this amount. So that's what happened while I was part-time, just managing and juggling those small amount of leads, just little kind of little purchases here and there. And I was just kind of hesitant to go all in, but then psychologically, slowly, I figured out I was making more on those 1 or 2 deals than I was making an entire week or 2 slaving at the hotel,
Yeah.
And then when this, tragic incident happened in October, that's when it just, next thing you know, I was like, all right, well, I can't sit around at home all day. Obviously, bereavement kicks in and all that. So I didn't go back to the hotel. I went on a 2-month bereavement through Thanksgiving. And I told my wife, well, like, I can't sit around all day. I got to do something. So I'd made a huge investment on leads. Because again, I had my connection and that story that I still to this day share with my clients in my appointments. I tell them what got me into this and why I'm there to help them. So I share that I had a death in the family. I share the importance of what we do and how it works for their family if something should happen. And it's almost like it disarms me as like a salesperson, so to speak, right?
Right.
It's almost like I have their full attention. So now it's just a matter of how many leads can I get my hand on?
Yeah, that's interesting. So you went from 20 leads to how many can I get my hands on? Well, just out of curiosity, that first month full time, do you remember what you issued that month?
Well, the IP wasn't shared as frequently as it is now. I really can't recall.
Okay.
You're talking about part-time or full-time?
Full-time.
Oh, the first full-time one, that was about 22,000.
Okay, so 22,000 back out chargebacks. So you probably deposited somewhere between 15 and 17,000 that month.
Roughly.
Versus what were you doing before? Probably 4 or 5,000 a month. Is your other? Okay, so life changing stuff. Okay, so and just because I came from the service industry, what are some of the things that because a lot of people think that it's this life altering change and dramatic shift that you have to make when you go from whatever you're doing to family first. Some of the things that you took from what you were already doing that just immediately translated to FFL. So it was kind of like just riding a bike and just really changing the scenery. What are some of those things that just came over with you that were like, oh, I was already doing this?
So number one, super hard work. Because when you work in hotels and restaurants, you're just going and going and going and going. So the hard work didn't stop. I was like, if I'm already working extremely hard over here, I'm just going to apply that energy over here because it's going to pay off tenfold. Mm-hmm. And then talking to people, literally talking to people. If I was a server, literally talking to people, taking orders. Now I'm just going to them when they're asking me to come and take an order, and I'm just giving them a menu based on their situation, and then they give me the order from that menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think I kind of already knew the answer, but I wanted you to say it because a lot of people come in and they're extremely nervous about that first appointment and what they say. And in all actuality, it's just a conversation.
100%. I'll never forget my first appointment. My shower handle broke. As in, like, I go to turn off the water and it didn't, like, the gasket inside broke. It got crusty and, like, the water didn't shut off. I'm running outside my house in a towel trying to shut off the main valve. I was like 45 minutes late, and I finally show up and I have butterflies, and I'm like, oh my God, what's the worst that can happen? She kicked me out. And I told her, I was like, what were you looking for? Did you not have any insurance? Did you have some? You need more? And she's like, oh yeah, I have some, but I need more. And I wrote my first policy, and I was like, oh my God, this is it. I was like, oh, this is going to be fine.
Got it. Good deal. So enough about the sales side where we just show up and kind of fulfill a request. Talk to me about building, about your agency. When did you start? How did you start? And then we'll just kind of go from there.
So we started sharing the opportunity kind of like inconsistently, like not really taking it too seriously at the beginning of 2020. I worked with a few guys, and one of them had his license because he was doing health insurance. The other one didn't. And obviously we all know what happened in March and April with the pandemic and, everything being shut down. They didn't start to take it seriously as I did with sharing this opportunity until obviously once FFL, in my opinion, blew up in April when we had one of our biggest months because of what happened, and once I saw how the opportunity was able to affect other families, that's what did it for me. It wasn't about the money, then I thought it was so cool that I could literally share this opportunity that changed my life with as many people as possible to hopefully change their lives. So it was about the summertime, July, maybe August is when we went all in with Career Builder and ZipRecruiter. And literally that first couple of days, that's when we found, and Ivan will know, Jonah Lewis. the dude is just like a monster. I don't know. He's just like the Energizer Bunny. He's just nonstop. And it's been so cool to see him. You know, we contacted him. He actually reached out to my wife, who's my recruiter, and he was moving from Sioux Falls, South Dakota. Got an apartment with a buddy of his in Chicago, Illinois. Already knew a little bit about health insurance, but I helped him get licensed for life insurance. And I was just watching his growth over the last several months. It's just been unbelievable. You know, he's actually flying in tomorrow on Saturday night. He's going to stay with me. We're going down to the Fort Lauderdale conference on Monday. But things like that, you know, stories like that, where we can really change people's lives and put them in such a better situation by what this opportunity can do. I mean, that's just satisfaction that money can't buy.
Okay. So he reached out to you. How do you go about, you mentioned ZipRecruiter and obviously the cold market thing. Are you doing any warm market hires? And if so, when you talk about sharing the opportunity, what does that sound like, look like for you?
Warm market's very hard, because that might be like somebody I worked with or like a family member. And it's always like, you know, they don't believe it, you know, like they don't believe it. You know, my niece actually reached out to me about doing this and then just kind of fell through the cracks. You're talking about somebody that's 23 years old, just graduated from FSU, is running around doing Instacart, making $2,000-3,000 a week, and that's comfortable. But then what I'm doing, making, you know, obviously that and then some in a day, no, it's not real. No. You know, I don't know. So there's much more skeptical mindset, in my opinion. And then you got other cases like a guy I went to school with, you know, I haven't talked to him in probably 14 years or so, 15 years. And he was doing door-to-door solar. Door-to-door solar. Imagine, you know, midsummer day, 1 o'clock in the afternoon, you're walking around the neighborhood in, you know, dress clothes, I guess is what they wear, knocking on strangers' doors, doing cold sales for solar. That's horrible. And he reached out to me because he saw something that FFL tagged me in, and it had to do with a business that has leads, of all things. A guy doing door-to-door reached out to me because he saw something that had to do with leads. You know, now he did 17,000 in his first month. You know, it's just light bulb.
Yeah. So I mean, that's the power of sharing and just being present on social media. Because like I tell people all the time, like somebody's always watching.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of time before they see it. And it's happened to me recently, and they say enough is enough. I need to know exactly what it is, if it's something that I can do, and if it is, how do I do it? So from an agency building perspective, where are you now, as far as an agency is concerned, numbers wise?
So we're doing numbers now in 2-3 weeks that we're doing in like 5-week months, just a handful of months ago. Actually, the IP report just came out, so just bear with me here.
Wow.
So we just finished just under 500,000. We did 481 for the month of March. 76 total agents. So that's 76 actual producing agents that have been helping their families by just simply buying leads and helping other families. I mean, that's just, it's crazy. Obviously in April, 5 weeks, we're going to just blow that number out of the water.
Yeah.
We've just been, just like everybody else, it's all about leads, 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 leads. And sometimes it's the, you know, purchasing of leads, like the, you know, actually wanting to spend. The lead spend is always the challenge. So sometimes I just, hey, listen, are you going to go to work? I'll send you a list of leads. And as soon as they get a hold of that first, you know, the first client, the first 2-3 appointments, and they get a deal, then it's like, all right, light bulb. And then it just goes on from there.
Yeah. So just to put it into perspective, started October 2019, started sharing in January, February 2020. And a year later, you have an agency basically doing 500 grand a month with 76 agents. Okay.
That quick.
So for those people that think it takes forever, it's, I mean, just about a year, basically. I mean, in all actuality, from 0 to 500,000. So I think anybody can endure that and kind of figure that out. So as you were building along the way, because a lot of people get caught up in the start and stop, what are some of the things that you had to change about you and within your business, or put in place to facilitate that consistent growth, like processes, staff wise, things like that, that helped you get from there to what you just shared with us?
Yeah. So, I mean, you of all people know, Hall of Fame isn't easy. Maybe for Ivan it is. I don't know. It wasn't for me. It took a lot of work, a lot of appointments, a lot of lead spend, and it's like nonstop days after days after days of being in the field and helping families. So when we started getting the team to a point where it's like, okay, now it's starting to like take away from what I was focusing on. And that's where, the admins come into play, the recruiters come into play, when now I need other people to take care of the things that I didn't have the time for anymore, if I was going to be producing in the field like I was.
Not even that you don't have the time for. They're things that you're not good at anyway.
Right, definitely. Like, don't get me wrong, I can share the opportunity and I can talk to people about what we do and try to recruit them, but I'm not the best recruiter. That's why I pay others to do it.
Yeah.
That's why my wife is my best recruiter. She's the one that's been, she's had weeks where she's hired 50 to 70 people by herself. I don't know how she does it, but she does it. And then I just go in the field and I know how to write insurance. So the deal is that she trains recruiters and gets the agents to come aboard, and then I just show them what to do, as well as obviously the playbook and the boot camp and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm. So the playbook and the boot camp, you mentioned them. Everybody calls them something different. So kind of share with us because a lot of people naturally fight the system. Tell us what the playbook and the boot camp are, and how they help your business grow consistently and continue to operate on a smooth plane.
Well, it's definitely just an extra tool to help a new agent have a little bit of direction. So, obviously they're going to be reaching out night and day looking for a little bit of help, but it's series of videos that are designed and platforms put in place to help a new agent understand a little bit of direction as far as what to do, from contracting to understanding leads, scheduling, structure, products, presentations, just a little bit of everything, so that if a new agent comes in and gets onboarded, gets leads and books some appointments, they're going to know what to do. Right?
Yeah. I mean, if not, they can refer back to it.
Exactly.
And the consistency, for me anyway, the consistency of the information that's being disseminated, so that that everybody at least got this, does wonders for your business and the conversations that you're able to have with agents as they come on board. And it's very telling, to be honest, because you know who did what by the type of conversations and the questions that they're asking you. So one last thing, and then open it up for a few questions if you have time, or if Ivan has questions for you that I didn't already touch on. You said 481 now. And I know just your mindset. I know you were hoping for 500 this month. What are some of the things that you're going to do differently to blow through 500 and hit 750 in the next couple of months, that you're going to change, implement, ramp up, and throw away, just so that we can avoid those same hurdles and obstacles?
Yeah, that's a really good question. Well, the beauty of having a team that's, like, once you get to like the 50 writer mark, it's getting to a point where it just naturally blossoms organically. Like when you're at like 5, 10, 15, you're still kind of like, okay, add. But now it's to the point where like we have teams under teams under teams under teams, right? Like it goes deep, like some like 5 levels deep. So now it's to the point where it's just going to naturally come little by little, and we just kind of help guide it along the way, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So the basics don't change. All right. We want to help as many families as possible. And that's always been our team philosophy, whether it be us as the agents helping clients, and then us as agents helping other new agents help their own families and helping more other families. Right. And that's where the organic growth comes from. We try to, maintain an ideology of growing together. So we all know about comp structures and numbers, and I'm not going to get into that, but if you're growing a team, don't be greedy with comp. Okay, we're under a philosophy that like everybody goes up together. So if one goes up, the other goes up. Obviously, if they're not producing, that's one thing. But everybody has their own business. But I'm just telling you guys what has worked for us, and I think that's FFL across the board. I think that's a pretty clear message. Would you agree, Wayne?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, at this point, everybody's pretty much on the same page as far as that's concerned, in regards to comp, and the people that are really dedicated to growth in the people also, and essentially sharing, which is what the company was built on, anyway. So that being said, I'm going to step aside, and anybody, even Ivan, anybody that has any questions for Jon, that we touched on, that we didn't touch on, just unmute yourself, turn on your camera, and fire away.
Hey, Jon. My question is because you were mentioning that your wife also is one of your recruiters, and I remember from watching at the convention that she's a beast. She was saying that she was like hiring at like 10 a day almost, and so it's very obvious that you and your wife are very busy in the household. How does that play into your like personal dynamic at home? Does it mean that you have to set up a little bit more structure at home between you guys to like, as far as schedule wise, like we're not going to talk about work after this time, to maintain sanity within a relationship and work?
Yeah, man.
Does it even play a factor?
Great question. Yeah, no, I think it takes two to tango for sure. When you're in the field so much and you're considered a workaholic just to put food on the table, your wife obviously has to support you if you're just always, in the field and working to provide. But when you're at the level of trying to grow and your wife is, your spouse or whoever is trying to help you grow, naturally there's an understanding that we're both in this for the bigger picture. We're both naturally workaholics. We're both naturally like very, even keel and like easygoing when it comes to, if we get a call at 9:30 at night and it happens to be somebody from California, like it's not a big deal. We'll take the call. When it's 11:30 and I'm talking to a few agents, like one of the top legs or whoever, like one of my right-hand guy, that's just natural. It's just, we're used to it. Our relationship is very understanding and flexible when it comes to the work and then personal. Like, don't get me wrong, man. Sunday, like some days I run in the field if there's appointments, but for the most part, it's just breakfast at home, chillax at the house. Maybe we go do this, that as family activity. Monday through Friday is work mode. Saturday, I'm in the field. And then, there's boundaries, yes, but like in the evening time, just got to be flexible because it's still time to work, It's all about the bigger picture.
Perfect. Yeah. Just being, having goals aligned.
100%.
Good stuff.
I have a question, Jon. Thanks for being here, first of all.
Yeah, thanks for having me again.
Absolutely. Yeah, Jonah's the killer. He definitely makes our office. There's, they're kind of a satellite office type of setup, but him and a few other guys coming in he definitely is the true testament to FFL system and work. So great job finding him. He's the first one in, last one out. So there's no surprise. The results are showing. He's obviously he's a worker. So great job again on finding him. But I wanted to know, with your guys' setup on the hiring side, what do you? And I know both you and Brian absolutely working crazy hard, and you just said that we do believe you, and I see you rising pretty fast with your team. So you guys definitely grinding this out. So it's amazing to spectate that. And I wanted to know how's your business set up? How are you guys setting that up? You trying to grow the legs? Do you keep a lot of people direct? And if you do, how do you personally work with them? What's that accountability system? What do you do for that?
So the main leg is set up where it's like it's now starting to get structure, but I do have a lopsided volume right now, so we're still hiring a lot direct.
Sure.
Okay. There's a few potential leaders. It's all about finding leaders, right? I already have one. potentially 2, but it's just, we're still kind of on the hunt for the next 2 or 3 legs. So we still hire a lot direct. And when it comes to, getting them going, it's like, listen, guys, this isn't rocket science. We're not recreating, any science. We're not splitting the atom. Thousands of men and women are doing the exact same thing, but they have 2 things in common. They work really, really hard, and they buy a lot of leads. Okay, because the clients, they're asking for help. We just got to find them and look for the ones looking for us. And then we just go to work. Like, I'm not a genius. And it all starts with me. And I don't like using the me, and the team, but like myself as well as others, we're not specialists in insurance. I didn't know anything about life insurance 2 years ago. So if I can do it, you can. That's our belief. It's like, if we can do it, you can do it. And then we just build the confidence and motivation that you can do it and go to work. That's all it is.
Got it. Yeah, and if you don't mind sharing, like, is everything pretty much structured? There's just scheduled the calls that you guys have, scheduled the trainings, and you just do the massive hiring, and then whoever wants to take this opportunity seriously is basically doing it. Is there any special approach to this, or it's all the numbers game?
No, yeah. So we're very blessed with Priority Life. Nick has provided a very good platform. Priority Life has the team calls, the agency calls. Liz Brennan with FFL Triumph does those Sunday night new agent Zooms. Those are gold. We have a team call in about 2 hours. We do our own team call here with Priority One with Chris Photo. And there's a lot of little, again, platforms designed. So it's not just numbers going in. There's still a lot of direction and stuff. 100% has to be.
Okay. Awesome. All right. Well, that's really what I wanted to know. But okay, good. Anybody else have any questions to Jon? Especially, I'd say that definitely those of you guys that's building an agency, fire away. Jon's growing fast.
I have a question, Jon. Craig Wood here. Thanks for being here, number one. So I've asked this question to a few other agents who are billing, and I'm just curious. Whenever you're hiring agents, what is your what's your policy behind deciding if you're going to bring someone on board or telling them this is not going to be a good fit, or do you do that at all?
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good one. I try not to discriminate because, and this is honest, my opinion, I don't want to discriminate because anybody can do this, and we can't prejudge who might be a good fit or might not be a good fit. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, there's people that do this that I didn't think were going to be really good and are. And then there's people that I've held my breath thinking, oh man, they're going to crush it. And I've been let down. So that's when I learned very quickly when I first started recruiting and building is that I have to just throw out all judgment. And it's just pure numbers and just give them the opportunity. And the ones that take it seriously, like Ivan said, and that want to take it are going to take it and run. But it's not my job, or it's not my call to judge those people on who may or may not be a good fit. I just have to share the opportunity.
I like that. Thank you. Thank you for that.
Absolutely. Hope it helps.
Hey, Jon, I got a question.
Yeah, man.
So you had mentioned that you do a lot of cold market recruiting. I think some of us, we're all trying to build a team, and I think we really gotta, to be successful, we gotta start getting into the cold market. So my question to you is, what do you think is a good starting point to get these cold market? Like, what platforms do you use, and how much do you spend typically monthly? I know you're at a higher level than most of us, but what do you think is a good starting point to start investing in these different platforms?
All right, so this is a great way that it was simplified for me. You want to have like a quality play and a volume play, right? Does that make sense? So
Yeah.
You want to have something like maybe like Facebook ads where you get solid clicks for a certain ad that you control, and you have a list of people that maybe you're going to have a little bit fewer, but it's a more high intent, higher quality type of, recruiting ad. And then you need your volume play. That's where like the zips come in, the career builders. The zip recruiter is tough for somebody starting off because it's super pricey, super pricey. And I'll tell you that. So zip for us costs around $1,200 a month. All right. Career builder is a little more flexible. You can get something for, I think $250, $400, $500 a month. Okay. And that'll start giving you at least some volume of ads to, have people to call without overdoing your budget. So you got to start somewhere, and I would look into maybe creating a little bit of a Facebook ad and then getting, maybe like 20, 30 cities for career builder.
Okay, cool. Thanks for that info.
Keeps your cost a little bit lower, but then you're still doing the concept. You got to have a quality play and then a volume play.
Got it. Thank you.
Which is not much different than you approach your lead flow for appointments.
Yeah, 100%. 100%. Same exact thing, guys. Same exact thing. You got to have people to talk to. You got to have people to, get on the phone. 100%.
And John, what advice would you have for new people starting out with staffing? Who do you have? Who did you have when you got started? How did that affect you? What would you do differently?
So for us, I would say we did it backwards because my wife still recruits and I don't pay her. I pay her in Louis Vuitton purses. No, I'm just kidding. No, but so she actually has a full-time job. So when she started doing this, I was already providing already. So we just kind of had her helping me build. She didn't want to see me, miss the train. So she just joined. I'm very blessed. So an admin was actually our first hire that we have on the books. And that's somebody that helps with like, contracting, insurance bay, comp changes, anything you would have to get on the phone and take time out of your day to get a hold of a carrier or walk an agent through, contracting stuff. Now we have somebody that does that. That frees up a ton, plus I'm not an expert at that. I just say, hey, call Claudia and she'll handle it. That's great. That's gold. Obviously that's not something done right away. You need to have a few people in there because, that's, I think we were already at like, I don't remember, 15 to 25 agents when we brought her aboard.
Anybody else?
I didn't realize I muted myself. Thank you, John. Thank you. Helps.
Oh yeah.
John, what other admins or staff do you have?
So we have Claudia who handles all of our contracting. Okay. And then we have 1, 2, 3 recruiters, all on payroll. My wife is one of those. she's now leaving her job and going to be on payroll. Just one little tidbit about that. Make sure you guys keep track of every single penny, because I just did my taxes and it is not fun to have to give money to the government. And I was very, very frugal when I figured out, like, I want to make sure I track every penny so I can deduct and pay them as little as possible. So that's everything from like advertisement cost, lead cost, recruiting costs, salary costs. So just a little side note. Ivan, I know you know what I'm talking about.
Sure do. Absolutely.
All right, folks. Before I ask John for any parting shots, I just want to remind you that the just abide by and be mindful of the sales conference calendar, and you definitely need to get there. And I'll post it again in Slack. You definitely need to get there, and anybody that you're trying to introduce to the business or that's skeptical needs to get there too, because they listen to you, they know you, and either they trust you or they don't trust you. Either they think that you're superhuman or they think that you're an idiot. Either way, they're not going to listen to you and jump into the business on your word alone in most cases. So getting them to one of these conferences gets them to hear from a John, from an Ivan, from a 19-year-old kid like Michael Sandman in the office, from somebody that looks like them, that's a little more believable than you, because they don't know that person, they don't have that history. And it makes that much more sense. And then it edifies everything that you said. So let somebody else do the heavy lifting. And then you also plug in, because just like I have half a page of notes from this call, regardless of where you are in this business, the second you stop learning is the second you stop growing. And the second you think you know it all is the second that this business will humble you. And I promise will put you on your, back in your seat. We'll just leave it at that. So definitely be mindful of those dates. And if you don't have them, like I said, I'm going to post it here in just a second in Slack on the training and development channel when we end this call. But John, any parting shots you had, something that you wish somebody would have said to you, or something that you know that you make sure that you tell pretty much everybody that you cross paths with in this business, that you want to make sure that they're aware of, and that they're just that they know, or that you wish you had?
If you're thinking about sort of kind of maybe doing something, that means you probably should be doing it. I knew I probably should have gotten a little bit more involved with building faster, and I just kind of procrastinated. That's another reason my wife started doing it. But then just remind yourself, as well as others, like anybody can do this. Like there's thousands of men and women all over the country doing exactly what we're doing. And it proves that the system works and anybody can do it. So don't overcomplicate it. Buy a crap ton of leads and go to work. All right. And then when it comes to building, it's the same exact thing. Have a system in place, such as, you get your volume play, it's the same thing. Get leads and just go to work.